In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a number in standard form um, from scientific notation. And scientific notation is a way of writing really large or really small numbers. And this number is in scientific notation. What we have here is 6.92, or 6 and 92 hundredths, multiplied by 10 to the fifth power. And a couple of things to note here. First is that this first factor in this multiplication problem is greater than or equal to 1. It will always be greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10. So the first factor, let's call it n, is always going to be greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10. Okay, that's our first fact. Our second is that we're always going to use the x in scientific notation. That is always what we're going to use, never a dot. That's just my pen point there. Sorry about that. And the second factor is always going to be a power of 10. In this case, it's 10 to the fifth power. So let's take this from scientific notation and write it in standard form. That would be 6.92 multiplied by 10 to the fifth power, and that's going to equal 692,000. Okay, how did I do that? What did I do? Well, what I did was this. Notice that this is 10 to the fifth power, and this is where the decimal point is here. What I did was I moved the decimal point 5 places from where it originally was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. And that's how I converted 6.92 multiplied by 10 to the fifth from scientific notation into what we call standard form. All right, let's take a look at another example of converting a number from scientific notation into standard form. I'm just going to slide this up. My next example is going to be 5.6, and I'm going to multiply that by 10 to the 12th power. And clearly this is going to be a really large number because when I'm done writing it, I will have moved this decimal point 12 places to the right. So let's do that. That would be 5, and now I'm just going to start adding some zeros here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I believe I need one more set. 1, 2, 3. And hopefully I've moved it 12 places. Let's see. Starting here, this is where my decimal point was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And just want to check two things. One was the first factor was this number, greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10. The answer to that is yes. Was an x to use for multiplication? Yes, it was. And was the second factor a power of 10? Yes to all of that. This is scientific notation. This is standard form.